Now, the next time you play Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, I want you to go and check your stats to see what your most used weapon is. For me, it's the M14, and I could say for a lot of other people, it might be the same, or maybe perhaps the M16. If you have anything different, just leave a comment. Now, admittingly, when I was editing this video, I created a community tab post, and I wanted you guys to vote to see which point man weapon was your favorite, and I was expecting everyone to vote for the shotguns, but everyone voted for the XM, and that kind of threw me off a bit, because in the video I talk me saying, oh yeah, like no one uses this gun, it's forgotten, like I very rarely see anyone use it. Turns out that this is the most popular point man gun from the poll, so I'm like, well shit, I don't want to redo the video, but I'm just sort of interjecting and saying like I may rag on the gun a little bit more than necessary, but I'm also under the impression that this poll, there were, I'd say, bad actors involved with the voting, because I highly doubt that majority of the people, like I never see anyone use the XM. Okay, you're telling me that over 700 people that voted, majority preferred the XM. I am led to believe that there is some form of vote manipulation going on. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. But going on to RS2, the gun that I'd say is more or less forgotten, and I very rarely see this weapon used by anyone. I can't remember the last time I've been killed by it, but it's the XM177 or the Kar-15. Now, and the reason why I hypothesize this is because, for starters, this gun can only be used by the United States Army with the point man, radio man, and commander role. And when you examine the classes, no one wants to play radio man except for like a few people. And when they do, they're with the commander. And obviously the commander is always at the back of the map with the radio, especially the US commander, and they don't see too much combat. And the thing with the point man class is that they've got some extremely strong weapons such as the grease gun, the shotties, and the M2 carbine. So it has to compete against some really strong weapons, because if I'm playing point man, you know, personally, I want to use the shotguns because it's different to the boring, and I say boring air quotes, the infantry weapons. Like if I want to use a gun that's like the M16, I'll just use the M16. I don't really see a reason to use the Kar-15 when I can just use something that's more unique, like shotguns, for instance. I've been using the duckbill lately, and I think I shitted on that in my shotgun guides or review video. And you know, I've just been running around with the duckbill, not even bothering ADSing, and it's been so much fun. But let's go over the stats of the weapon, right, and how it compares to the M16. And honestly, previously I wanted to do a Kar-15 versus M16 video, but I didn't think I could really get like 3 minutes of content out of it. But they fire the same ammo, the same 5.56 ammo as the M16. It carries the same 18-round magazine, and apparently historically, I think I mentioned this in the past, in my older videos, I say that the M16 fires 20 rounds, but that's not true. It fires 18 or +1 if you leave one in the chamber. But the Kar-15, like the M16, has a flash suppressor, and having one is a good thing, because on night maps, which I honestly don't think I've ever played on a night map as the United States Army, well, a common night map that is, it hides your muzzle flash from enemies as well. It doesn't interfere with your aiming the same way that like some other weapons might. It has a shorter barrel, about half if my research is correct. The Kar-15 has a 10-inch barrel and the M16 has a 20-inch barrel, and the length of the barrel from my research, and that research is a World of Tanks video, but they just say the longer the barrel, the more accurate something is. So I'm just gonna say that it's from my testing, it is the same in this situation. And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, but the Kar-15 is a carbine. Yes, I know that, but you know, you're going to have to use weapons at range. When I use the duckbill, I basically just give up, because that shotgun is probably the worst at range. I reckon the sawn-off is better than the duckbill in certain scenarios at range. But regardless, you're going to have to use a weapon for longer ranges, and the Kar-15 doesn't lack like other weapons in the point man class, but compared to an M16, it does. It also is significantly more jumpy, which can be a pain at certain times. But look, the Kar-15, like I said, is a carbine. It's the name, Carbine 15. But from my understanding, right, it's a mini rifle, a child-sized, kid-sized weapon, and the M16 is an adult-sized adult rifle. So like, I always have this like image in my head, right? You get an M14. If you were to advertise it, I always feel like an M14 would be advertised like this rugged, masculine type, like, yeah, this is a fucking man's weapon. Yeah, and then you get like the M16 is more like I wouldn't say feminine weapon, but it's more like an all-purpose weapon. Like it doesn't have that rugged masculinity like you'd see for like maybe pickup or ute commercials do. It will be more tamer. And then you have the Kar-15 come in with like, oh yeah, this is like the perfect starting weapon for your child. Okay, that literally what I just said made no sense. I just have this like mental image in my mind and it's just so hilarious thinking about it. But another thing I should point out is the shell speed. When you compare the two weapons, yeah, it's a pretty big downgrade compared to the M16. I'm pretty sure the Kar-15 has 750 meters per second, which is going into the same area as like AK variants, but the M16 has I think 990. I'll put up a correction on screen if I'm wrong, and that thing is a literal laser beam at range, and the Kar-15 doesn't have that laser beam accuracy and shell speed that the M16 does. But you know, how do these two weapons differ, okay? And the reason why I like the Kar-15 is that if you find yourself in a close quarter scenario, you're pushing the stock, flip it to auto, and you can do some serious damage. Even if at range you're pushing the stock, it's jumpier, it's a lot more inaccurate, but at least you have more zoom and it's a lot easier to see something in the distance. But I'd still rather have the stock pushed back, and the thing is, this is the only weapon in the game, and this is like a one-of-a-kind weapon because it's the only weapon in the game where you push in the stock, you increase your ADS without a penalty. The only downside is that you lose your I can't say the word, peripheral vision, and you basically headbutt the stock, but it increases ADS and it is so significant. You can almost get the drop on people majority of the time, right? And it actually makes it harder to go back to using the stock pushed out as well as the normal M16 because it just feels much slower and not laggy, but a lot slower having the stock pushed in. But this is also how it felt when, you know, I went from using the M1 carbine to the M2 carbine, and you know, you realize that sure, it's not significant like some major, oh my god, this is so completely different, night and day difference. It's a noticeable difference that makes you say, huh, you know, I kind of wish that I had that really fast ADS time. But another advantage that the Kar-15 has is that the movement speed, obviously being shorter, I imagine lighter as well, is that you can run significantly faster. And even in the in-game description, it just says that, oh, it's just a smaller, more lightweight version of the M16 that's more tailored for closer ranges, hence why it's in the point man class, and all the point man weapons are tailored for closer range. But truth be told, I feel like this weapon is just overshadowed by better, I suppose, weapons in the point man class. If you want to dominate at close range, you can use the grease gun. It's a one-shot, or you can use the shotguns, which are also a one-shot at close range or even to medium range. And if you want to dominate at medium to long range, you know, you can just use an M2 carbine, in my opinion. I feel like the M2 carbine is just better because sure, the ADS is slower in close range, but the full auto on the M2 is absolutely devastating, and the bullets are more lethal and have just better penetration than the Kar-15. And another thing is that all these weapons that I mentioned are significantly different to the standard infantry weapons. And honestly, the next thing, right, I say is completely pointless because asking for things to change in Rising Storm 2 Vietnam is something that will never, ever, ever happen. Whether you're gonna, you know, dislike the video and say, wow, you know, I can't believe he said that, it's the truth. It hurts to say that, but it is the truth. But I just wish that, and some people might disagree with me, but I just wish that it will be an option for the infantry class. Like you can have the M16 or you can have a more closer suited weapon like the Kar-15. Similar to how the NLF have the choice of using the Type 56 with the stock, or you can have the one with the foldable stock, which increases or basically improves your ability to dominate in close quarters. But another thing is, from what I've been seeing with GOM4, is that this weapon allows for modifications such as the grenade launcher, and I'm just looking forward till GOM4 is finally finished and hopefully, please, more servers run it. It's new content, it's new stuff. I understand that it's different from the traditional RS2 people are used to, but it would be just nice if we could sort of integrate that mod into a lot more servers, because I'd imagine that it would bring more people back to the game. But that's just my opinion. Commentary isn't always true. But if you want to see my other Rising Storm 2 Vietnam comparison videos, just look on screen and click the playlist. But anyways, I'm going to end today's video there. I hope you guys did enjoy it, because if you did, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing, and sharing the video with your friends. Anyways, my name's Tan2, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.